This month's project is a fun spine dangle bookmark. Hello and welcome to the treasured page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Well, it's a bit of a messy desk here today because I am throwing everything at this project. I really want to bring in all the things that I love. I love fabric, I love vintage papers, I love decorative papers, handmade papers, homemade papers. I love paper and fabric. I want to bring that into this project and we are going to be making a bookmark with an extending piece that loops over the top of a journal, and then out the back we're going to have some fun trim and lace embellished pieces and all the things that we like, maybe charms, trinkets, but mainly beads. We're going to be making paper beads today and we're going to be covering them in any which way we feel we would like to do so. So this is what I've got so far. In front of me I've got backing fabric, lining fabric that you would put behind a curtain or something that you may have for sewing. It could be an old sheet, it could be anything, any fabric that you have you could use for this project. You don't have to use fabric, of course, you can use card, but whatever it is, card or fabric, I think the measurement we're aiming for is just over 2 inches wide for our bookmark. I think I'll go 2.5 for the moment, which is 6 centimetres, 2.5 inches. That just gives me a bit of wiggle room. It's a nice cream colour. And I do want to bring in vintage tones, and I'm very mindful of the colours that I want to use because I'd like it all to tie in, and the colours that seem to be inspiring me at the moment are this natural sage green colour and cream and pastel colours, because I've got to think I'm sending this to a swap partner in the UK and it's going to be received the first week of March, and that will lead us into thinking more about things growing and that lovely spring is on its way. So I want to stick to tones that bring us and welcome us into spring. So I'm going to go 6 inches, which is about 15 centimetres, and I'll just straighten off the edge as well. Right, anyway, that is it. That's going to be our base. Got some cool scraps here. I'm collecting scraps up. Look what you can do. You can stamp onto your scraps and then you can add those into projects and, you know, this sort of thing. Now it's even got texture as well, so we can just cut bits off like this, fray it up, put some stamps on, boom. That all goes into clusters. So nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. We throw it in the scrap tray. Okay, clear up, move on. I've got some scraps of fabric here which I've put into size order. So I've got some really small little bits here which might be too small, and then some larger bits at the bottom. So we'll just pull it all out. And then I want to have a look at the different colours. Now these are special fabrics, they are really nice. They come from Liberties in London, the fabric swatches here, and they are scraps and offcuts from quilting and sewing projects that my local craft shop was doing, and then they bundled it all up and I was able to purchase some scraps. So I was so excited when I saw that because you don't often see that in larger craft shops now. So it was lovely because they were an independent sewing shop. So if you have got anything like that local to you, then it is interesting to pop in and just see, do they have a scrap basket? Because I have been training them over the last year and saying every time I pop in, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if you had some scraps of that? And lo and behold, the other day I found that they were selling scraps. And the other thing that they did is they got remnant pieces and they folded it all up and they made it all pretty and beautiful. And I immediately switched off from it because it was £7 for this very nicely done up scrap pack of remnant fabric. And they sort of done some folds and made it all pretty. And I was switched off completely because it already looked beautiful and it looked like somebody else had done it. So it just wasn't, it wasn't like that. It wasn't sort of, ooh, what can I rummage around and find in here? What bargain, what delights. So I was drawn to their scrap basket, and she said everything in there, they're little swatches that they get sent, fabric swatches from suppliers, and they look like quilting squares. And she said everything, anything in there, you can have it for 10p. 10p for probably a 5-inch, probably by a 5 by 5 inch square. So I was really thrilled with that. I thought that was excellent value. And some of the fabrics are of excellent quality. Not these ones. This is something different that they were doing last week. Anyway, so I was in there bypassing the beautiful scrap packs that they'd put together, and I went to the rummage bin and I pulled out my 10p ones, and I was so excited and I got carried away, and I was there for an hour. I'm not even kidding. I was there for an hour. I relaxed, I calmed down, I was in my happy place. She said, would you like a chair? I said, oh, lovely. And I sat down at their sewing table and I was sorting it all out and going all through it, and I and she said, oh, there's actually more out the back. I went, is there? And she pulled out another basket, and there was more things in there, and I thought, this is amazing. So I'm actually going to show you what I ended up with. I've done this 3 times now, and look at what I've ended up with from their scrap bin. I couldn't believe it. And oh, that's interesting. Oh, we might like that. Some black tape with. That's interesting. Look at this. Look, these are going to be future journals. I can't even tell you how exciting. 10p. 10p for this. And so I came over, bearing in mind I just walked and turned my nose up at her £7 thing. And I came over here with all this. Anyway, it all added up to about £15. And this as well. And look. We don't need to have things all beautifully presented. We like to have scraps and things. It's just in our nature to go squirreling away and having a good old look. Actually, I think that bag might be more interesting. I'm just going to pull out some fabrics as I see them, but aren't they lovely? Look, all the different ones. And my mind is going crazy with all these different ideas, but I definitely would like to pull out something for this possible bookmark idea here. I just love it. I love scraps of anything. So yes, this is just making me want to make things, and I am very excited. I love that one. That's nice. Let's see about that one. And even raw silk. Look at this. This is so expensive. To buy some of these fabrics, they're £19 a metre. These are really, really stunning fabrics, and they've got all sorts. You know, there are linens, and they are just beautiful. So, yes, I keep going in, and she's now recognised me, and I went in there this week, and she went, oh, you found yourself a bargain? I thought, yes, I have. I found myself some Liberty Lawn fabrics, so I was absolutely delighted. These are denim ones, and with dinosaur we probably don't want. Yeah, so these are just nice. There's a nice blue. See, that already looks like it could be the start of a bookmark. So we're just having a rifle through. That's very pretty. We might have that one. I'm feeling green today, like in a green mood. Maybe let's just pull the greens out. Just I feel like fresh, you know, fresh green, lush. Maybe that one. Maybe that one. Maybe that one. Fresh green, starts of spring, you know, those little shoots popping out of the ground and just bringing some hope. That's beautiful. I like that chartreuse colour. Ooh, that's a good word. Isn't that just beautiful? I love it. I love it. We'll have to do something else. And that fabric just feels so soft and beautiful. So that would be nice and floaty to have in a journal. So yeah, this is all happening. So we're going to put this. I had this in some sort of order, but it's all gone. It's all gone wonky now. All right. So we'll lose this. It's a bit bright. maybe have that. Very, very exciting. And I shall be putting these away in scrap bundles as well, I'm sure. Share the love, share the love. And all my members, I definitely am going to look after you. Don't worry, we will get there. We will get there with the really cool things to send you. Just bear with me. I have been going through a bit of a nightmare last year, so I'm on the mend. All right, let's have a look at what we've come back with here and see what we've got. I've only got a very small bit to work with, but I'm going to pick out things that I like. I do like that, but then equally I could add some of this to the tassel at the end. Quick look in here for anything nice. I kind of like that. We've got a bit of that, but maybe the bluer tone. Maybe that piece. Red in it. That's nice. Maybe the no, I don't want red. Let's move away from red. Moving away from red and thinking fresh shoots peeping through the cold earth. Beautiful, isn't that beautiful? Oh, so yes, these will come and live in other projects. So these are going to be for other projects. Just beautiful fabrics. Beautiful, beautiful fabrics. Okay. Oh, this, love it. Let's have that. I only really want to focus in on that bright leaf there. Same here. Just take a piece of this. So I'm just looking at different ways in which I could arrange this onto my backing fabric there, and just thinking that that is quite a nice way to have higgledy-piggledy stripes and put those down. So I'm just visually seeing what it might look like, and then maybe I could sew on this afterwards. And again, anything with a bit of interesting, just do some maybe like patchwork pieces with the more colourful bits and bring that in. So we will see how we go. Want one more strip, and I'm wondering whether I want that down there or whether I'm going to have that as a nice patch. That's just pretty, isn't it? So we sort of finish off because it ties up with the top. So I'm using Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1, and I'm just going to use this to quickly put my pieces on, and I'm just going to do it like that. I'm going to wait for it to just go off a little bit so these bits don't soak in. And what I want to do is put on my fabric like that and just build it up, and I might have to do a bit just to overhang. I'm going to tear off this where I can get a fray, not glue it to my fingers, and just do it like that. And then what I probably will want is a little bit on this bit, so we just add that bit down, just tacking anything down that is peeling up, making sure that it's sticking to that backing fabric. And then I want to have a look at my top pieces. Okay, so now that I've got my backing fabric down, I've been placing on these little scraps of other coloured fabrics that I like, all of which are remnants and scraps and things that I found available. I haven't stuck it down, they're just balanced on there, so that is the backing fabric. And what I will do now is I will go round in the sewing machine just sewing these on like little patches. Now this could be a slow stitching task, and lots of interesting, intricate stitches would be amazing on a piece like this, and it could also be all lace and creams and that real beautiful vintage vibe. You could make this really elegant, but this one is going to be more eclectic, and I'm going to add my threads to it now and see what it looks like when I come back. So where I've got overlapping pieces, I will be stitching that on first and then adding that and going around. And then if we want to trim it and make it all neat afterwards, we can contain the chaos in some straight edges and make it more bookmark like. My project is winding up about 6 centimetres across. So that's around 2¼ inches. And we'll just remove that. And then we can see that looks very smart. This is the bookmark been made with all the scraps and remnant pieces of fabric, and I've even included some antique lace in the top and the bottom section. And what I'd like to do here is I may put some buttons or something, and I would quite like to perhaps do some decorative stitching or even add a little bit of beadwork to the centre of those flowers. And I'm just sort of keeping that in mind that it's not finished yet. So I'm not going to worry about backing that to anything at the moment. I'm going to put that to one side. Because I'm putting my embellishment on the bookmark itself, I feel I want to keep the connecting bit plain, and what you could do is if you had a plainer bookmark, you could even do some stitching and things, or have a very nice decorative lace or trim for the trailing bit that comes off of the top. But I'm going to keep that simple, and I'll show you what I've got here. I've got some quite nice ribbon, and this is a velvet ribbon, and I think it works very nicely with the blues and that aqua colour that I've got in the tag. So I think that will be my ribbon that comes and lives in the journal. And it isn't too thick, but there is a thickness to it, but it's no thicker than the actual bookmark. What I would do is put that through, maybe make a slit there, have some reinforcement or something, I'm not sure at the moment, but this is how it's going to look. And I'm going to glue that or sew that together. So it's going to be something like that, and then that will live over the top of the journal. I'll decorate the washer, and then I'll have the beads and the trim on the spine dangle. Now, if you watched the previous video, I gave lots of suggestions of what you could have here. You could even punch out some card shapes so that you've got a circle shape, and it could be a square, it could be anything. You could have even a butterfly or a house shape, and then you would punch holes in it and be able to bring your beads and your strings and lace and linens and things off of it. But I'm just having a look at this idea. I've got a small washer and a larger washer. It's the larger washer that I'm interested in, but I'm also thinking that I could embellish the washer to become an interesting decorated bead. I've just found this embroidery floss. There's not much left of it, and what I think I could do is just start winding this around this washer using a double thickness of it. I'm just leaving a tail end there and pinching it in my fingers, and then I'm just going to start wrapping this around and just see what we can get as a look, because I think that this might even come and embellish the bookmark. So just sew it up. The key here is to just try and get the embroidery thread to go around the washer. And I think also what would be better is if I add some glue. The thread will stay in place and it will just embellish it and it'll look really nice. So we're just another thing to do with these useless bits of metal that we find at the bottom of a drawer where they were once fallen off of something or used for something else, or a spare one, or something that you find when you're out on a walk and you just think, well, that shouldn't be there. Little piece of metal, not doing any good to the pavement. So we'll just clear it up and then bring it back and turn it into something a little bit more useful. So I'm just covering this for the purpose of decorating my book tag with this nice idea here. Finish that off, and then we've got a really nice little donut there made out of the embroidery thread. And what I'll do is I'll just tie a knot. That's it, and then I'll just bring the knot so it comes up there, and then I'll cut that off. Okay, so I've put some glue on the whole thing, and then there we go, and then that's glued on, but I will then go around with some more thread and be able to stick that on. And I could even put a little pearl bead or something in the middle of that, I'm not sure, but that's a really sweet idea, lovely. I'm pleased with that. I looked at wrapping seam binding around my washer, and I think that that is a really good idea, so I'm just going to show you how I do that. Don't even need a needle, you just need some tweezers, and you can just then poke that through. I'm going to leave a length like that, and that can be one of my dangles for my spine dangle. And then coming back, I'm just going to be pushing this through and pulling it round and doing the same thing, wrapping this all the way around several times and just covering that washer. Add a little bit of glue and then it will keep in position, and then keep poking that through. It's just really easy because you don't have to worry about having a needle. You can just use your tweezers and just bring that round. Okay, that didn't take long at all. So that's all the way round. And then I'm just going to tie off that bit there, and that is how we can do that. Okay, so now I've got a place where I can thread and put things where I want to have my lace, so I can just push that through. Maybe with, you know, if you haven't got the tweezers, you could use a paintbrush just to poke that through, and then bring that down like that, and just see how it's going to fit together. Is it going to be glued? Is it going to be sewn? Are we going to bind something around that? We're not sure, but I think just leave a nice length of what you want, and then that's going to come and be part of it. It's really pretty. I think because that's wanting to lie so straight, I think that will be the bit that comes over and maybe hide some of the work behind. So I think if I put, so I might come back to that at the end, and then I can add in some threads here, which I think would be good to be able to hang on some beads. Bring in some white, maybe this could be nice. I've got some sort of torn rag fabric here. That's another nice texture, so I'm going to bring that in too. There we go, so we'll put those to one side and we'll focus on making the beads. Now we do need to have some sticks or something from the inside of a pen, something you can wind your paper around, and we're going to be looking for all sorts of scraps of paper, anything you've got, nothing too card-like, flexible paper, handmade paper, any decorative things like that, some gold, that could be really nice to come in. And I've got some card here which might work, so I'm having a look at that. This is just photocopy paper. It has been tea stained. We'll just use some of that and maybe strengthen it up with some fabric. So there's another piece there. So we just want to get some sticks. The thinner the stick, the thinner the opening for the tube bead. And this is what we're making, these lovely cylinder beads, and it can be made by experimenting with different thicknesses of paper, and then we can decorate them however you want. So I've got an old label here, and I'm just starting by making a little hook, just rolling it on there like that, and then what I'll do is I'll add some glue. I'm going to use a wet glue, so I've used that today for the fabric, and now I'm going to use this because this is what I've got and it dries very quickly and helps me when I'm filming. So if you would like to use PVA for this or any sort of wet glue, school glue, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to hook this on, making sure that it can move, and then I'm taking my glue and just putting a little bit on there, rolling it and adding some more as I go, and just making sure that I get a nice coating, and then that will add some strength to the paper, particularly if you're using a thinner paper. This is quite thin. This is just an old label. I started to rip it for a page and then I didn't like it, so I'm just using this now as the basis for this bead. If you roll and stick, you're going to have difficulty pushing it back into place if it goes off. So the best thing to do there is just allow that to dry, and then you can always trim that at the end if you want to. But because I'm going to put some fabric around my beads, it doesn't matter. They're going to look raggedy, and I think that that's going to be part of the charm. So again, just getting a bit of glue, pasting it on there, and then rolling that around. This is a recycled paper. It's got a bit of texture to it, and just rolling that on like that. It's got an interesting frayed edge there where it's been torn, and that's just going to add to the interest, I think, of the bead. So just plain beads, but if these were lovely decorative papers, then they would be showing up and be really pretty. I want to cover mine in different things though, so that's why I'm not too concerned about the paper here at all. I'm just using up my scraps. So this is just photocopy paper. Now I'm going to go with the longest or widest bit and rolling it around. That's it. That's all we do. So we can just leave them to dry. Maybe I might take that off as well. Just have a nice tube bead there. So I've got several, and there we go. So for this bead, I'm going to take my glue and just wrap some glue all the way around, and then I'm going to take my scraps of fabric. These are just the remnants off of the bookmark that I made. I'm going to put the frayed edge on the outside, and just check that I've got the right side fabric showing up, which I have, and then just going to push that into the glue and start winding that around, and then add a bit more as I go, and just come around, sticking down the fabric. And then if I'm finding that my wet glue or my PVA glue isn't really sticking, I'll just come in with the Fabri-Tac and make sure that I can get that to stick. Then I'm just going to add some more glue to the body of this bead, to the middle bit. Is use some tweezers, and then I can get at it a little bit easier. And I've got this fabric that we used on the bookmark, so just push that in and bring that round, wrapping that around, adding a little bit more glue and bring it round again. And then we'll just add in this fabric here, just push that in a bit more just to finish that off. Bring that round over. There we go. One little rustic bead, quite fun. And then from there we can add some, maybe a little piece of lace just to decorate the centre of that. Just add some glue onto that and then wrap our lace around. Last little bit there, so that we can get that to come round, and then I can go and wash my hands because I'm covered in the glue. This has been really fun, and I think that that could be interesting even to have some more beads and things on it. So that's a lovely lace, works well, nice flat lace. So there are some beads, nice chunky ones, nice big barrel ones, and then we've got this idea where we can just wrap the fabric straight around it. It would be helpful if we got it around the right way. So wrapping the fabric around the bead like that, just really cool. A pair of tweezers is useful because you can just help to pull that taut as you wrap it round, and just put the glue on the bead, and then you can wrap around as you go. Just concentrate on the ends as well, otherwise it'll peel up at the ends, at the sides. There we go, that's all done. Look at that. That's smart. With a pair of good fabric scissors you could make it really sharp and really neat. I think I will wait until that dries before I start doing that. But yeah, those are the ideas. That's what we're doing. So have a play with that idea. So I'm hopeful that you're getting some really good ideas to start your own project. So this is for this month, and we are making these throughout the month. And this is obviously my take on the project, but what I'm doing here does not have to be what you will do, because everybody's designs and creativity and supplies are different. So just have a go at what you have to hand, and if that is paper, then use paper. If that is just scrap bits from the bin, then use scrap bits from the bin. Have a look at your packaging, have a look at wrapping paper, have a look at magazine print, and really have a think about how you could make it work. It doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be as much as this, it could be more than this, it could be entirely up to whatever you feel comfortable doing. Don't put yourself under any pressure. This is meant to be fun. Okay, so I am just winding around a scrap of fabric, and that is my bead. And what I had thought to finish off the ends of the beads is to dab a little bit of gold paint, something on the ends to finish. To finish decorating my beads, I've just got a little metallic paint here. I'm just dabbing the ends of it so it takes away the white cut line of the paper, but this could be ink. So just ink around your edges or add some gold embellishment or embossing. You know, there's all sorts that you could do. I'm just going to do that here. And that's how I'm going to deal with that and finish those off a little bit more away from the camera and make that a little bit nicer. This is a nice scrunched up paper. It was a gold paper, like a wrapping paper, and I'm just going to have a go at adding this on here, just adding my glue there. I'm afraid I'm resorting now to using my finger, but it'll get the job done, and we'll just put the paper on and then roll that on. And there we go, we've got a selection of fabric beads and some paper beads here as well, and then we've got some painted ends to them, and this one is a gold paper, and I think the same again, I will add the paint there when that has dried. To make this one a little bit shorter and have two, so I'm going to cut this in half, which will squash the bead slightly, but I'm hopeful that I can manipulate it back into place. And what I can also do is put my stick back through, and there we go, just roll that into place again. So now we've got two smaller barrel beads, and they're really cute. And then just from that scrap of paper I could make two more beads just like that if I wanted. So that's how we can do that. I'll just get some gold. You know, this is gilding wax here for the gold, so I'm just going to put a bit on the bottom there, and just I am going to use my finger because it's just easier. So just smooth that out around there, and then we don't see that. It could be a different colour ink, it could have been a brown ink. Just take away the white paper edge with something more of finished look, and on this occasion it is the gold, but that could have been a gold pen, you know, one of the gel pens. You could just touch these things up. So that's how that's going to be, and we're just going to leave those to dry, clean the area. So I hope that this has given you some inspiration on how you can start your project. I'm running out of time today, and I would like to have a little bit more of a think of how I'm putting my bookmark together and stringing the beads, and just rest today and come back. But in my next video I will be assembling it, and I'll show you how that's done and any other possibilities that we can come up with in the meantime. If you've got some good suggestions, do please leave them in the comments box below, and I think what we'll do is we'll leave the video there. I will carry on embellishing and show you some of the pictures there in a minute of the close-up detail, and you can have a look at the beads as well. And I think what I want to do is I will like to go round when they're fully dried overnight, and then I can just make sure that I'm happy, and I shall come back in my next video and I will assemble everything. I hope that this has given you some inspiration to start your project, or to certainly think how you might tackle it. It doesn't have to be fabric. I'm just trying to try some new ideas and something a bit different, but definitely paper collage could work, or a nice picture, or a postcard image, or a photograph, something that you could make the tag out of and then connect something to the top which is interesting, and then leave it to hang over the top of the journal and come down in one of these lovely cascades effect. And I'm not sure if I'm adding the chain in or not. I may well do, and then we can work out how these are going to look and if I want them, or whether I want to change them up or do something different. But these are some of the beads and they're looking really nice. So these are the fabric ones, and then we've got some paper ones here. And that's the washi tape, lots of different ideas. And this is sort of a patchwork one with several different fabrics and lace, and just some nice ideas. There's some book page and wrap fabric with gold ends, and then we can put it together in the next video. So I hope that that's been of fun and value. Do please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you thought that this was worth your time. So thank you so much for watching, and above everything else, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.